The National Treasury derives its mandate from the Constitution of 2010, the Public Management Act 2012, and the Executive Order number 2 of 2013. And just looking at the mandate, it is the core functions of the National Treasury as derived from the above legal provisions and include formulating, implementing, and monitoring the macroeconomic policies involving expenditure and revenue. So it goes ahead to say that the National Treasury is responsible for managing Kenya's national and county levels of government, county levels of government finances. And I was asking you this question, Deputy Governor for Kajiado. So the Cabinet Secretary is saying that these austerity measures are supposed to cut across national level, the county level, and obviously to also affect the other arms of government. How possible is it that these recommendations on cutting on, including communication costs, that you're advised now to use internet calls, how are you likely to take up these directives as a county government?
No, I think I saw the circular from Treasury, but I don't think that one applies to counties. According to that circular, it says county governments may also give similar circulars. So I think counties, we don't take this.
So you don't agree with this?
We don't agree. We don't agree with this. And I think, in the first place, this is misplaced. It is good to put proper management of resources, but I think these austerity measures should not have come at this point. Should have come way earlier, before budgeting happens, so that you're able to budget.
Do you read into why it's being done now and not before the budget?
I think it will achieve nothing. At the moment, it will achieve nothing. Already, budgets has happened, and of course, what the CS is focusing is on recurrent. And there is no time that you will use development money in place of recurrence. So I don't see it achieving much.
So what is it that has happened? Is it that we are running out of revenue, or revenues are getting depressed, or why would such a decision, such a circular come 3 months down the line?
Yeah, austerity measures are good. I would want to say that for maybe the benefit of our viewers. Austerity measures are good, and cutting on spending by government, especially on recurrent, is very good. But what we are trying to say is that let it not be done in a superficial manner. Let it be ingrained in our budget making process at the right time, so that then it can achieve what it is meant to achieve. By and large, the government needs money to pay back the loans that we have taken from the foreign banks and from other countries. And one of the ways that we are going to raise this money is by reducing government spending, especially on areas which are not of key importance in delivering to the people. But maybe again, for the benefit of our viewers, it's important to understand that I want to believe that the government already took austerity measures for the county government by the time, you remember the impasse that we had, where county governments were denied the funds that had been appropriated or had been recommended by the CRA.
Right.
At that point is when the government also made a statement to the county government that we are not going to be giving you all this much. We expect you to work within these budgets. When the president said it very clearly that we don't have sufficient money. Now, the issue of austerity measures in county governments is really not a function of the national government nor the treasury, the national treasury. All the county governments do have their own treasuries, and they provide for those austerity measures from time to time when it is necessary, and depending on their agenda on the ground. I remember receiving a circular about a month ago from the governor of Nyeri County, again instructing all the accounting officers in Nyeri County to observe austerity measures. And the same circular now I've seen coming from the National Treasury. I had already seen that in the county. Of course, even the issue of whether the governor can also direct the county assembly on how to spend is also another question, again, constitutionally. But I had already seen that, meaning that county governments also have their position in this, and they should be left to take take on necessary measures at the right time. So when, for example, Nyeri saw it was necessary to take the austerity measures a month ago, the national government sees that necessary maybe 1 month later, then there is nowhere the national government should be dictating on the county governments on what to do. And really that has to do with the constitutionality.
Okay. In terms of practicality, there's a proposal that, not even a proposal, it's a directive now, that you are advised to prefer teleconferencing to travel. How possible is it to do that in your respective offices?
No, definitely there are some areas where you really can do with the teleconferencing instead of traveling. I have seen that happen a lot of times. You do not always have to travel, but sometimes you may need to travel so that then you can go and do one-on-one negotiations and also sign important documents and also understand the concepts as a whole. But where you are not doing all this, I agree with the government that really where we can save costs, let's do that.
Okay.
But so where I differ with the government is where this is done rather too late in the day.
So gentlemen, you're saying the austerity measures are good. It's the questioning of the timing that it has come in. But also, Honorable Lodge, help me understand why it's so difficult to implement such simple things. Traveling economy class, government transportation should not be used unless if it's on work assignment. The calls that we have also just discussed, these are simple things that even normal biasharas, normal businesses in Kenya would sort of adapt to cut down costs. So when it comes to our government, we're saying that yes, it's a good call, but it's not doable. Why is it not doable? Why would it not work?
Nobody's saying they're not doable. I think we're questioning, I started by saying the legality and the timing of it.
There's the timing and legality.
There is a third question, which is a constitutional one as well, is the issue of what this does to separation of powers. There are three arms of government. We have the executive, and they are perfectly in order to put whatever austerity measures they want on the budget that is appropriated to them. And by the way, the amount of money appropriated to national government collectively, including the consolidated and contingency funds, is close to about 82% of our national budget. They're free to do what they want with it. If they bring up this outside of the policy statement adopted in Parliament prior to budget, they must ask themselves what this does to the independence of the judiciary and their plans and their functions, what this does to the National Assembly and to the Senate, and in terms of their independence. And then thirdly, there is a question of predictability. I'm not an economist, but I'm sure there must be some principles somewhere for predictability in our fiscal planning. You cannot not have these very good ideas 3 months when we had our policy statement, and then somewhere in between, you're going to tell the other arms of government, look, here are some other austerity measures which you had the opportunity to do in the budget policy statement. So let's say these are good things. Let's plan them for next year. How can you tell the judiciary that a benchmarking, whatever it is, conference that you're supposed to do, that's going to take place next week, midstream, change and make it teleconferencing?
Or travel economy class?
Well, they could themselves introspect and see the need for that. But this is already budgeted and the process gone through public participation. That process is tedious, it is time consuming, it involves money. So how do you let people go through that process when you have these excellent ideas and you didn't put them on the table?
So Deputy Governor, how does this then affect devolution? How does this affect the works at county level on the ground?
I will also agree with the rest of the members that austerity measures are good, and I think we're already doing in our own ways, where we see we need to cut down expenditures. We just do. What we are saying is that this one should have come way earlier if we are intending to minimize the allocations to recurrent and maybe take the rest to development. But I think to sum it up, we are already doing what we can do to ensure that we use resources in the best manner possible. And things like, conferencing, we are already doing it.
Okay.
Where it is not necessary that you go sign documents, you do teleconferencing, and it is happening. So most of these things that we are talking about, we are already doing.
All right.
Yeah. I think every public officer, and especially people who are accounting officers, should do their very best to ensure that we are helping reduce the burden on the public.
All right.
I personally, I have never traveled business class. And I am entitled to that. And even when I'm going for more than even long distances, I have always traveled economy.
Why so?
Because I have understanding, when you travel economy and when you travel business, we'll arrive in the same airport at the same time. Nobody arrives ahead of the other.
Right.
You know, only that one probably will get more time to sleep more, but I don't sleep so much. I read books when I'm traveling. So I don't see the need really of spending almost twice the amount that is supposed to be spent to do that kind of a thing. So, again, as we are talking now, we have our MCAs who are now participating in the CASA Games at Eldoret. And in my county, in Nyeri County, we have agreed with MCAs, none of them is going to use a plane to go there. We have agreed.
Use the road.
They all carpool and go by road. And by yesterday, they were calling me. Some of them are already on the way traveling, and they are carpooling. None of them is using the plane. And in solidarity with them, I will also not fly to Eldoret. I will use the road. And all this is to ensure that we save as much as possible, so that we not also burden the public too much with spendings that are insensitive to the public needs and to the taxpayers' needs. I think the government is setting pace, only that we advise, now that we have a new gentleman at the helm of Treasury, when we are doing the next budget, please make sure that those measures are properly ingrained in our budgeting process, and then you set the pace, and that way the country picks up.
Okay.